Welcome back to Backstage Pass. I am Batty,
And I'm sorry.
and this session we will be talking with Dawn and Hella.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Alrighty. So first, we're gonna go with Hella on their characters. Can you move, stupid window? Okay. But their characters.
Do I need to record anything on my end?
Not necessarily. We can. Both Sai and I are doing a recording, so between the two of us, we should be good. So unless you want to record it, you don't have to.
Yeah, you can if you want, but it's not necessary. So
But yeah,
we're gonna be looking at Hara and Huey today. Peace
Space
signs.
Bros, yes.
Space Bros. Oh yeah, the best space pirates.
Do we have any other space pirates?
That's
Ah,
besides the point.
I'm trying to think
Because I want to take the cred, but if there's only two of them, that also means they're the worst space pirates.
I mean, you're not wrong. There's so many characters in Void. I don't know if we have more space pirates.
there's definitely space pirate NPCs because in Z's as Clap versus Grey, there were some space pirates that attacked the ship.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool.
True.
Excuse me.
I really need to fight Gray. I don't know why I haven't yet.
Yeah, that'd be
You
really
do.
cool.
This will come up because you'll find that the pattern in like my storytelling is that like people are like, when did this and this happen? I'm like, in collabs that never happens. That's gonna be a running theme for me, I'm afraid.
So does that mean that in like if you were to go through Hara and Huey's archive, which we both did, that there would be like big gaps in the linear story from these sort
There
of
are
missing collabs?
on like off the top of my head, uh, the creation of the Keiju pills, if you will, that makes Hara actually be able to do Keiju stuff now, or Kaiju
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That entire thing. I talked to C. Yeah, sorry. Me and C were gonna do like a collab thing where basically it was Hara accidentally stumbling upon like a secret gray ship science vessel thing, and basically blackmail them to, because they weren't supposed to be there, etc., to help him finish the Kaju formula, so it wouldn't kill him.
So does that mean
That
it
was one
killed
plan.
the people in Kalem after they turned into like kaiju human hybrids? Does that mean
No,
they died
they turned
afterwards?
into horrible monsters and had to be put down. I mean, they were in a they look where they were created. Like that was as good as death to them.
Right.
Because let's
So
not
it
forget.
was more of like an out of control situation as opposed to the current one, which is a more controlled transformation.
Yeah, no. The thing is, the Kaju, which comes from Park, is originally a creation of a different character, different creator who's no longer on the site, I believe.
Yeah, because I was wondering like where, because I remember he stole it, and I'm like, why would you just have the blood lying around? Like, what's going on there?
I literally, like the comic. So that storyline starts with the battle against Reggie and the robot girl, or the robot and the police girl.
Yeah, Gwen and Reggie.
Gwen and Reggie,
Yeah, Gwen and Reggie. In which they steal something from vis-a-vis the locker or vis-a-vis evidence locker
Yeah.
or lockup. Right. And I got that from talking to Pyras and the person whose name I forget. So it was a long time ago. Who had a mad Dr. Frankenstein type of deal, who a mastermind science guy who did evil science, the person who created Ark in canon. And I thought that was cool. And I asked, what happens with the mutagen if it goes? It's like, he made sure that nobody on Earth could replicate it. If you take the blood, you'll turn into a horrible monster. So like, that's super cool. I'm gonna weaponize the fuck out of that. And then we had the battle against Kura, which was Kura always been on my bucket list. He was like one of my favorite guys way back. So I was like, oh yeah, I get to fight him. I was too chicken to fight him Retribution style, and I regret that. I should have just committed, because my comic was basically a Retribution comic anyways. But it was basically, and that's where you also see Hara and Huey temporarily split, because Hara is fanatical in his hatred for anything he sees as fascistic and dictatorship and stuff like that. And lest you forget, Caleb is literally a corpo-fascist state. It's it's an elite city-state that rose from Void, declared it seeded from Void, if you will, and declared itself independent, threatened with violence if tried to take it back, and imposed no meta, or if you meta, you have to basically wear colors that make you less than you are. That's straight up. That is straight up fascism. Like, that is fascism. So for Hara, who sees Void as this all Void, as this kind of anarchistic, like, pure state of like, you can go here, you can make things work. Nobody's gonna rule over you. Now Void is this neutered version with like a very, very suspect police force that, while claiming they're good guys, basically have like a manhunt for everyone that they consider basically like state-driven vigilantism. And he's like, yeah, no, this is fine. But he hates Caleb because Caleb is literally, he took a piece of Void, which he kind of idolized as a concept, and made it to this fascist, sleek, clean, ruled by a corporation, like everything he despises, right? Because he's a hardcore anarcho-syndicalist extremist. So he's like, yep, fuck that, I'm going to go there. I'm going to mess up that British city in the sky. And he does that by taking, basically synthesizing or using the blood of Park to make this Kaiju airborne mutagen. Because he's not from Earth, he's an alien. Also, stuff that hasn't been properly explored in comics, because that would take a lot of time, and I don't have the attention span for it. But basically, his species hunts kaiju, and they can literally integrate other species' DNA in themselves. So he knows about working with DNA and mutagens and stuff. So he grabs it. So after he grabs it, steals it from the evidence. He then drops it down on Caleb. Of course, Huey don't want anything to do with that. And this is where we come to the first gap, which is gonna need to be explained.
Can I ask why? Because I was just thinking, you know, Hara and Huey grew up together. They're they're brothers, yeah. And
Yep. They are.
you know, they've done all this criminal stuff together. What was it about this particular thing that made Huey say,
They
right,
have
this is
never hit
crossing a
civil-
line?
They never hit civilian targets.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
They attack. For example, when he fights in his fight with in my first fight against what's his name? But he's a space legionnaire thingy.
Was
No,
it
I was just looking.
Orion's dead guy?
Yeah, Orion. Yeah, those are a military organization. They hit them without any remorse whatsoever. They don't hit soft targets. They usually don't hit civilians. They don't. They're pirates, but and it's not explored properly or mentioned. But when their targets are, first of all, if they hit a civilian like a cruiser or something with rich people on it, they don't kill the people there. They just take their stuff and leave.
Hmm. Also, the guy is called Jonas Valorous. I just checked.
Yes.
I just remembered it was Orion's blue space guy. And Memoriam in the title. That's all I remembered.
Like so they had somewhat of a code, and that's why there's several people on the board the ship who, while they won't go against their captain, so they become complicit in what he does. They did try and there's on board of the ship. It's not just them. They have like a little council of the closest people to them. They're the people who run the different parts of the ship, which is mentioned in that comic at the beginning. Like they had a vote, and if more people had voted no, Hara wouldn't have done it, because that's one of the rules. Is if the majority says we do not do this, we do not do this. But the majority was on board with it because some maybe share his ideals. Other people don't care as much about civilian targets. And then he drops that. It's sorry. Go ahead.
I remember seeing like throughout the comics some shots of the different crew members. Because they seem to be so important to the decision making, are you gonna like show more of them in the future, or are they gonna kind of consistently be background while for Hara and Huey?
Yeah, and then when you were saying like some share his ideals but some maybe don't, it kind of made me curious about how they like came together in the first place. Like, was it a sort of collective like, oh, we share our ideals so we'll join you, or was it like we're in a shit situation and joining you would benefit us from a security perspective?
Another BB that never happened. Actually,
Rip.
like I
F in the
have a
chat.
folder that is just a bunch of BBs that never happened, and never gonna happen
Mood.
because I don't feel like doing them now, or they
Mood.
don't have a place in the chronological order because I'm so far away from it.
That's
But basically,
just the,
everyone on board
yeah.
that ship are people who has been saved from worst places. People who deserted from various overlords or bad places to be, and basically all of them share the basic kind of anarchistic. Like we stick together. We're very much like a family on board. Like we don't leave each other out to dry. However, Hara is also
the captain.
beyond the heart, as he's captain, but it's also like at one point there are certain rules you cross, certain things that will just get you fucking murdered straight up.
By Hara?
By Hara or
Oh,
by
shit.
others, like the rules that you do not cross. Then we come to a BB that was gonna happen. It's looking good, but then with like all my collabs, it's fallen apart because I don't have attention span all the time.
Again, mood.
And at that point, I sent all I had to Hedon, and we were gonna make, because basically I was just showing him my BB, and he was like, "This shit is dope. Can I draw it?" And
Whoa.
it's he that asking me if he can draw my writing, and I'm like,
That's
"Yes,
so
of
sick."
course." And like I think I showed people the one page we got done, and it's super dope. And I was just like, but then the problem is my sketches, my thumbnails are garbage. Only I can actually read them. So and he had a bunch of other stuff, and then he was like, after a while, it's like, hey, I haven't done more. I need you to like actually give me something more defined, because right now it feels like I'm doing all the heavy lifting, which he did. And I was like, yeah, and then that didn't happen. So in that comic, though, however, it is basically he being ambushed by BCPD and KLM forces, Huey that is, and he basically beats them all back. But after he's beaten them, he sees this giant retribution style poster, like takes up an entire building, right, of Hara's like wanted dead or alive, and he's like, "Oh fuck, my bro's gonna get killed."
Oh, sorry.
Because
Could I just?
this safety. Sorry?
I was just gonna ask something quickly that I forgot earlier. I was just thinking about Huey, because you said he saw this poster and whatever. But like, you explained that he didn't want to hurt civilians, but like, I mean, he didn't just say, "Oh, we're not going to do this." He completely went over to the other side and joined the policeman that Hara
I'm coming to that.
would have.
Like,
Okay, sorry.
That's what this BB is doing. He sees this poster, right, or this thing, and he looks up and he sees it, and he goes, "Ah shit, they're gonna kill my bro." So he picks up one of the communication devices that the BCPD had, and goes, because he hears someone speaking, and he goes, "Who's this?" And it's like, it's Arena, and it's just like who we're talking to, and it's like, "Yeah, this is Huey. I want to turn myself in." And she's like, "What? Why?" Is this a joke? And then he looks up at this. You see him look up at the thing and go, "Yeah, on one condition, my brother lives." So it goes over, because otherwise, the chances are that whoever gets to Hara kills Hara. So he's basically is, I'll join Retribution Squad to keep so I can grab my brother and make sure that you guys don't kill him.
Oh.
I like that. So it's less of like a complete betrayal and more like, I'll join the other side as long as it'll keep my brother safe.
100%, and that BB was super important, and I was working on it, and then Hedon was going to work on it, and then Sexy Royale happened, and in Sexy Royale is where I showed you guys that Huey has flipped to the cops.
Yeah.
And I understand people are like, "Oh, wait, it's kind of random," but it's not random even without the BB, because he was super upset, and it was like, "Oh no, my bro just became a mass murderer." More than it was before, of civilians, not just military and guards and cops, because who gives a fuck? But
Oh shit, he murdered a real person.
Essentially, I mean, that's how they think. And I mean,
yeah. But yeah, even though when I was going through their archive, I didn't feel like it was too big of a jump, but knowing those little bits that fill in the gap actually makes it more, I don't want to say necessarily more interesting, but it brings it together. It flows better.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
It makes more logical sense. It flows better. It gives more depth to Huey and Hara both, which is unfortunate that it didn't happen. But this is something I'm commented is Void.
That's just how Void is.
Yeah, Void's format fucking sucks when it comes to storytelling, because people want to read back one quote unquote issue. they'll ask a question in the comments and go like, "Why is this?" And then I go, "Did you read the comment before?" No. Then you don't get an answer. I'm sorry, because I can't. You can't repeat and explain everything that's happened constantly, because that's not that. That's not good storytelling. That's garbage storytelling, and I refuse to do it. Instead, you read back, or as we do now. I'm honestly one of. I don't know who was doing it before me consistently, but I literally started adding like
The
this has
recap
happened
Yeah.
recap pages
Yeah.
because people were like, I don't want to read your other stuff. Okay, well fuck you. But here is so you know who these people are. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, storytelling,
Honestly, though, even the
because
recap page.
you do like issues, but because you just picking a new opponent, it's very hard to just make it like a consistent serialized story unless you put in the effort to put like the a red thread that runs through the entire story, which is what I'm trying to do. I might not succeed all the time. I really don't succeed all the time, but I try and I get some credit for it, so I'm happy with it. But basically, you have that, and you come to Sex Royale. Sex Royale has a little reveal about, oh, look, the only thing that's with his eye is differently colored. Woohoo! I guess it was the reaction people gave it, which is fine, because I didn't trade well. Basically, it's
It's half.
he's not pure
Yeah.
Mandahar, his species, so he has like things to show it. And mostly he has different color eyes, which is like your genetics. When you're young, they dip you into genetic vat to make you like super strong and shit. It didn't take on him, and that's why he looks. That's why he has like a different colored eyes. And he's ashamed of that, so he wears the eye patch. That's also a thing. Like the eye patch. It's also because it's cool, because it's a pirate.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give it something more than that, but that didn't really work when I revealed it, and I have it just kind of abandoned because it has some other problematic issues with it too. But you have that, and then you see that they're gone separate ways. One is a cop, one is still a pirate, and then repeatedly that I'm trying to like. Basically, Huey always tries to show up and try like apprehend Hara. Hara only continues to kind of spiral, and then we have like the fight with Harlow, which Art did a great job, and I really liked Art's side because it basically gave, oh look, the cat now works for Huey. That's great. For Hara, that's great. Because he's gonna have to make weapons now.
So is this?
But basically, that's what.
Sorry, do you have like an end goal in mind for this storyline?
Oh.
And obviously, you don't have to spoil it, but like.
I had one.
Any hints?
I had one that I abandoned. I had another one that I abandoned. It's constantly like stuff I try to think of. I know for now. I want to bring them back together without spoiling shit, because I mean, now the cops are fascist, not just fascist light.
They're just straight up
fascist
fascist
light,
right
TM.
now.
Yeah, Huey's gonna be like, I don't think these guys are gonna keep to the bargain, so I'm a leave. Just gonna
Fuck this
take
shit,
my
I'm
shit
out.
and just clear my desk and just walk out of the way, and see if Hara wanna hang again. So that's probably like the end game. I did also introduce the third. Also, not to up my own horn too much, but I am really big on overarching story plots and referencing stuff through my comics. All my Huey Hara comics have references to other things that happened before or built on them, and I always try to leave an impact on the city, on the void itself, like with Caleb which actually turned out to be a thing. Both Kura, despite me losing both Kura and other people were like, yeah, this is no canon, and I'm like, yeah, that's sweet. And that's kind of stuff I want to try and do all the time with my storytelling, right? And so there's one thing, all the design chains in the comic with Hara and Huey in it. He looks at a picture of him, Huey, and Avery, who at that point looked like a blue-haired human dude, and not a hot baker Ember, but that is the same person. That is the character that hasn't had a fucking fight yet, because I kind of forgot I made her for the site.
Do it, fine.
They are. Everett is on the site.
I know,
and they are the third part of that entire story. They are the reason that Hara went off the deep end. Also, a BB that never happened is basically showing Hara cutting his hair to his new cool edgelord ponytail style he's now rocking, instead of the like generic long-haired anime bishonen look he had before. In that comic, he flashes back to the day where basically Hara's family are all assholes. They are this sect within his species that basically are like crazy genetic, crazy, or I shouldn't say that. They are seriously bad people who believe in eugenics, basically, and they keep harassing him because he's their blood, so they won't kill him, but he's also impure in their eyes. And when Avery then goes to defend him, they cut them down, and that's what started his spiral to becoming more and more brutal and attacking and like having this drive to just purge the world of any sort of fascism, which is a noble goal, but his methods are a bit
yeah,
a bit shaky. But basically, he goes after anything he perceives to be authoritarian and stuff like that, right? And that's because he's so fucked up from his childhood and from losing the love of his life.
Is that related to the song he sings in the election or pageant royale?
Yes, thank you for mentioning it. I actually forgot to mention that, but yes, that song is a song they sang together when he was younger. So everything waves into a narrative. Don't always pull it off. God knows, I many times fuck it up, and people just stare at me with like doing the fish mouth thing, not understanding what I'm trying to get at. But it's a thing. So there's that. And my plan was to bring Avery back. Part of why I brought Avery back is because I was tired of trying to do stuff and I didn't feel. And this is gonna sound salty, but I didn't feel people appreciated my stuff. I didn't feel like Hara and Huey's storyline was well received, and I was getting tired of basically losing while putting all my heart into everything against anyone that I went up against. And I was like, I'll just throw them into an AU where I can have fun at least. Right? And then everybody was basically gonna come up and basically grab them and basically go like, let's go to space. That was basically the plan for it with Avery. And then I forgot.
Come on, guys, let's get you out of here. This place is the worst.
And then I forgot about that. And then Retribution finally hit pay dirt, and we got the thick ass
chunky comic.
Yes, and I was just like, oh, shit. With Smiley as going full fascist on the city, Hara has a purpose, and a good one, and like a nemesis to just wage open war against. So I was like, he's not gonna go back into space just yet.
He's got one last job to do.
Yeah.
That is to firebomb half of the city into smithereens because there is a line that shouldn't be crossed, but he just basically just jump wholeheartedly over that line whenever he has the chance. Hara in this in Void is not a good guy. He's not the worst guy. He is going to probably rein it back in this time, but yes, like he exists. I think actually Don was the one who said it's like he exists in violence. He needs violence, and it's true. He needs someone he can violently oppose because that would get his blood boiling.
It's kind of like almost the term anti-hero gets thrown around a lot, but I think Hara is almost like an anti-villain. Like
he is 100% an anti-villain. He does villainous thing for good reason.
Yeah, which is I like that, because he's like you said, he's definitely not a good person in his methods, but at the core of it, he's fighting against something that is undeniably evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, he will go out of his way to help people. He is very crass when he does it, as shown with the gold comic.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
You're being chased by fascists. Of course, I'm gonna help you. However, I also fucking love tossing your cat ass at someone. I was gonna do something specifically with that gold comic, by the way, Sai. Like it was basically what Gold had stolen. I left it vague, and I changed the ending because I didn't know how to make it look good on a page. But basically, he was gonna take whatever Gold has taken for Smile from Gold without Gold noticing. That's why he tossed Gold, because that made Gold like upset and like disoriented, and then he's gonna just lift from the pickpocket, steal from the feet. But then I realized he can't do that because Gold puts things in his tattoos, and I was like, oh, okay, I can't do that. But basically, it was gonna be like Gold stole something from Smiles that was very important to Smiles, and I know I don't think I spoiled anything, but he then was basically like, maybe I should make a comic where Smiles basically is looking at the scene and going, I'll deal with these two myself. So, you have that side. You might have even coming after your ass.
Oh no!
Oh shit, no, Gold.
No.
I mean, Hara can handle it. Gold,
no, he
I don't know
He's
that he could handle Smile going after him.
He's just a little creature. Like, Hara knows what he's doing. Like, Hara's like, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. Like, I'm literally a space captain. Gold's just like...
He literally has, like, a full-ass ship that he could just... with cannons and shit.
It's funny because I made a big thing about it in his intro, but it's never used so far. Mainly because I haven't used the ship much. But basically, his ship could just, like, he could have just wiped Caleb with like a giant beam weapon that is the entire front of the ship. But he felt it wasn't like it was more poetic to basically turn everyone into a monster down because they were looking down at metals and calling them monsters. So he turned them into monsters.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So he's like, I'm gonna be petty.
It's like some like fairy tale or fae shit, like.
He
become
is 100%
what you most hated
about that petty life.
Yeah. So I think I remember seeing in the art and various places you're gonna do like an actual webcomic with Hara and Huey.
I had plans for it. However, I tried to do a webcomic about my dead girl, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is a lot of work."
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't. I think I'm going to make like a limited, like maybe like 100 pages, 200 pages comic. See, this is what I call
Limited, quote
We're like, oh,
unquote.
that's a lot of pages, but for a webcomic, that is nothing. Which is essentially going to be a three-parter. It's going to be when he's a kid and he finds Huey on a, like, because both of them were basically put in manual labor.
Yeah,
On
the
a
vent
planet
cleaners,
in the-
right?
Sorry, say it again.
Vent cleaners. I remember reading that they had to clean vents.
Yeah, they did a bunch of stuff, but basically they became anyone who's deemed undesirable, or like people people because his family are pirates themselves. They are, however, they aren't Yar Har Fidudi pirates. They are genocidal murder pirates, who literally fall upon worlds and just erase all life and take their genetics for themselves.
Yeah, it actually kind of sounds similar to the character that Batty was planning to submit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm listening at that and I'm like, oh shit, that's my race. Shit.
Yeah.
No. I swear it's original.
Hey! After this, let's talk. We can have them be like related,
Or like friends.
in lore.
They look 0% related, but yes, in
I didn't mean genetically. I mean like
Yeah.
culturally. They might like.
Yeah.
For example,
Join the gene fucking club.
Radius species are also.
Oh yeah.
Take genes from other species. So there's always room for more. Like,
There's always room for more mutagen.
It isn't all of our species that is that. It's his family's clan, because they're all parts of clans, and their clan is basically super hard asses and hardcore fanatics about their belief in how they're space Nazis, more or less.
Is that why
Like,
he
it's a
hates some like fascists? Is it because like he saw that in his own clan and was like, oh shit, I
they are
hate this?
space fascists who believe themselves are superior to all, as a species, and he fucking hates that, and he hates his family. So, any little bit of it he encounters, he has to wipe out. Because it's just like against all he stands for, and he is not above violence, obviously. But that said, was get it. Yeah, they went and cleaned the vents and shit on the big giant cruisers, and they did. And basically, I was gonna make like a 3-part webcomic with them, maybe. Is out if I ever gonna have the patience to do that. But if I do, it's gonna be a 3-part. It's gonna be just them growing up, meeting each other, forming the bond that basically they are brothers. Like, yeah, they're not the same species even, but they are neither had family. Partially because
Yeah, of course.
Hugh's family was killed. Hugh's family was killed by Hara's family, or
Shit.
Hara's clan, when they attack the planet, and they keep people of few species as like they lobotomize them and turn them into like to like half kaijus monsters.
Oh god.
So they're way fucked up, right?
Yeah.
But basically, they two bond, escape together.
Yeah.
Both sign up for the same pirate ship, basically, and then they. But that captain is an asshole, and they eventually make mutiny. Oust him.
A mutiny,
the
yeah.
people who, the other mutineers like them, and make Hara captain because Hara is very charismatic, and they're all coming from like broken places, and he's very like, come to me, like we are family now. And then they start picking up people from like war-torn planets and from like people who lost everything, who have nowhere to go, they all end up in this.
He low-key reminds me of
eventually.
Jet from Avatar. Like, I'm just low-key thinking about that.
Very similar in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good reference. A very good
Yeah, comparison.
parallel.
Because
Yeah.
I can see it now. I don't know that I would have made that connection beforehand, but yeah, that definitely is a very good comparison.
Yeah,
It
we
is
got a
very
guy
good
who's...
comparison. I had never thought about it myself, but it's very good.
Yeah, it happens that way. It's interesting.
Yeah, so they gather around. They grow stronger together, and they eventually attack and board uh, like a space shipyard, and steal the current ship, which is this gigantic destroyer class ship with a highly experimental weapon that can just blow several ships into pieces, no problem. And that's when they become like legendary space pirates that nobody can really stop, because they have the best ship in the galaxy, basically. A ruthless crew that all believes in Hara and whatnot. But they are always hounded, so they come to Void, because Void is a place where chaos and anarchy reigns. And then he shows up in Void, and it's like, what the fuck? Why is everything so orderly and gentrified? I don't like this at all.
This is the worst.
It's a thing. And that's kind of parallel with him and Smiles. Smiles also wants the old Void back, but he wants the old Void back because he believes he can strong arm everyone to follow him, while Hara is basically, I want the old Void back because then we could just straight up fight. Then you could just straight up fight the baddies. So
Yeah, I remember.
That's pretty much it.
I can't remember if it was you who said it. Or also, that's so funny because I was just thinking, oh, we probably gotta sort of start dialing it down because we're approaching 45 minutes, and then you're just like, well, that's it, and it's just like, wow, people really just automatically run out of things to say at 45 minutes. Like, this has happened 3 times in a row. But
I was looking at this clock too, and thinking of trying to keep it somewhat concise. But that's it. Honestly, that's the most of it. Like,
yeah,
you can. It's
really is. Like, there's kind of a limit to how much you can talk about, and 45 minutes seems to be that limit.
yeah. It's like your brain is like,
too
right,
much talking, man.
enough. Yeah, yeah. I'll just say one thing before we sort of wind down, because when you mentioned Smile, it just reminded me, and I thought it was really interesting. I can't remember who said it. It might have been you, even. But I just remember hearing this or reading it and thinking, oh yeah, that's very interesting. That, like, both the Smile and Hara want violence and want Old Void back, but for opposite reasons. Something like that.
I said it, but
Yeah.
but I honestly, I think it was Don or maybe Cozy
Yeah.
who mentioned it in general, when I was just like, I joked about basically Hara being like, I'm just gonna draw Hara like being like super depressed, waking up, drinking coffee, going back to bed, just basically falling out of bed like the classical anime I don't want to live. To roll out of bed, and then his ears perk up and he hears the speech from the Retribution comic, and he just goes, "Violence, real shit."
I sleep. Oh shit! I wake.
I have a purpose.
There is a BB coming out after. I mean, it's gonna be 5 weeks because I entered
after elections.
Yeah.
But I started and it's almost done. It's the worst part. I was like so close to making it, but I have to finish it because it's a big thing, and it might even be moot if like Dawn or Anselin or like any of or if Akira wins, then that comic's gonna be moot because Smile is no longer the major, right? But it's basically him just going violence for violence sake, bring it the fuck on, and it's basically him like gearing up for full-on war with the Phoenix Coalition. And I said this before, and I don't know what's gonna happen with election, but if Phoenix Coalition still is like a Force and Smile is still doing shit, and they're still like ruling the city de facto, I will try and basically build a resistance with characters because I think that would be super good. And Hara's going basically be like, yo, and then I want to fight the power. I guess that answers what like my end goal is. Right now, my end goal is have Hara fight literal fascists, police.
Just fight all the
French Nazis.
All the baddies.
Yes, thank you. I'd lost my train of thought halfway through saying it.
But yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. It was really cool hearing about Hara and Huey. Personally, I'm a huge sci-fi fan, and so like, I remember Hara and Huey versus Harlow being like one of the first comics I think I was actually on the site to vote for, and it's like stuck in my mind just because I love space pirates, and both sides of the comic were really good. So yeah.
Thank you. And I'll be honest, I was bummed that I lost it because I was like, oh man, I keep losing everything. But the more I go back and read it, the more I really think Arts did like an amazing job in that thing. That's probably my favorite comic of that. But yeah, blah blah blah. I keep bringing up new points, which is not what we're gonna do here.
It's fine.
So basically, Hara and Huey has a lot of BBs that never happened, callouts that never happened that would have crowded out everything. But the turn wasn't sudden. The turn was entirely had story purposes, and he becoming a cop was gonna be shown in a BB, never was shown. That's why people were confused.
Okay.
Also, fight me, everyone who listens to this.
Yeah.
Hell, it's just like, everyone come at me.
Oh, 100%.
Fight.
I ain't afraid
You and
of
I
you.
have to fight at some point.
Oh, yeah. I have ideas.
When you get Table in.
Tyval, yes.
Tyval. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I've been pronouncing his name wrong in my head all this time.
I heard table and I was confused.
But yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you for joining.
Oh, sorry. I was like, thank you.
Have a nice day.
Okay. I'm tagging you in, Dawn.
Yeah.
Pass the
It's
baton.
dawn time.
Hello.
Hi. Oh shoot.
Yeah. So I'll be talking about my character Naialah, who I think I submitted like in October or something, pretty recently.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
She was created September 13th, but I don't think you had your first comic with her until when is it?
October? Maybe
Click.
that's when the October came in.
Yeah, October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So basically, she's got like not too many comics, so I don't really have to summarize much. But she's basically a monk who's not good at being a monk, and that's sort of just the theme. It's not just the theme, but that's just like, if you want a summary, there you go. She's not great at her job. It's very fun because her origins, just to keep it short, none of the very Asian elements Southeast Asian elements I'm clearly referencing from, none of that was a part of her original character. She was a character for a one-shot in my tabletop, and then I was just drawing a full body of her one day, and I was like, hey, this is pretty good for a void sheet. And
Yeah.
I made the back, and I was like, there you go, take her, go away.
Here she is.
Yeah. And if you want her backstory, there you go.
Did you have any particular
One thing
inspirations?
that's-
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna go on. Of like, one thing that really stands out to me for her is just the design. That is such a cool like the skeleton thing.
Yes.
How did you come up with
And the
that?
glowing, it slaps.
I hate it. I don't remember where specifically being like, oh, what if she was a glowing skeleton? Yes. I don't know where the part came from really. I think it came with trying to bridge her away from her tabletop origins. And I was just like, I love glowing in the dark like a normal human. So I put that
Yeah.
in there. I would say for her direct inspirations, I'm never really good at this sort of question because I never find them out until other people tell me, and I'm like,
Oh god,
you're
mood.
right.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever read Kill 6 Billion Demons, there's a very specific character. I don't remember his name, but he had I think Nene's direct inspiration just has to come from him because he has a very similar storyline where it's like he followed the monk life, or at least tried to follow a sort of message of like, if he was going to fight, it should be for good reason. It should be for peace and shit. And it just wasn't for him. And it's sort of the thing for Nene where it's like she's trying to fit in to this faith, but what she believes in and what the monastery believes in, it's like trying to fit a square into a round hole. It doesn't work, but she's trying to force it.
So she's kind of really having that struggle of like figuring out whether or not she actually believes in what she's been raised to believe in,
Oh yeah, was she raised in it? Because I was thinking, oh, interesting. Like she's trying to
or
fit in.
raised
so-
or whatever. Yeah.
That's a good question. Basically, like, yeah, a lot of her. Currently, her arc is just about her, her recognizing that there is an issue in her struggle, of like, I don't know where I fit into this whole scheme of things, and she puts that fault solely on herself rather than, the circumstances that lead to it, such as with what happened in NRB versus Naialah, where it's like she did do what that NSFW thing in that comic, but previous to that, it was built up by the fact that she was sexually tortured herself. So it's just she incidentally repeated that cycle, and now she's like, "Why did I do that?" In a way, I would definitely say, yeah, she was definitely her entire life was formatted in a way where she's supposed to be, even though I wouldn't say it's explicitly about faith, but it's about being dedicated to someone in a very unhealthy manner. And so that's why her faith in Guanyin is very, despite the fact that she clearly, her actions do not go hand in hand with Guanyin's, especially if we're referencing the Buddhism avatar, Guanyin himself. They just don't go hand in hand. It's just because she was raised the wrong way.
Yeah.
Which is entirely fair. I think, Sai, you had a question kind of like related to that.
Yeah, so I'm just sitting here like taking it in like, oh wow, interesting. Yeah, I did. I did have a question about that, but I think it was kind of answered. But it's still interesting. Like you said, how she was like sexually tortured in that battle, and then she like repeated it herself. Oh yeah, I guess it's kind of related. I was wondering like, so that makes a lot of sense to me. But I was also wondering, because there's a lot of like guilt and like conflict over why she stayed or she wanted to stay, and then like in Yumi and Niall's Kyrie, like you brought it up again, and I was just thinking, does she even? Well, of course she doesn't know why she stayed, but do you know why she stayed? Like, why did she sort of seem to enjoy it? Like, is it because it's like a break from this life that she's so used to, or like what is it?
It's definitely like, it's a little bit of column A and it's a little bit of column B. Like column A being like, yeah, it's definitely because it's a break from from however long she was a part of like that Guanyin following, like being in that experience with NRB, even though she wasn't interested in NRB herself, she was more invested in the experience, as much as she probably hates to admit that. And it's also just Column B being like fucking bracket spoiler end bracket.
Fair enough.
Her entire childhood and sort of like how she was raised, she was raised in like these immoral things in a in a very sort of environment of violence begets violence. This is the way to go. So in a way, the sexual violence was a reawakening that she did not like, or at least she feels heavily conflicted about.
Mm-hmm. So it's more of a, oh no, this reminds me of like a situation I hated, and not, oh no, I did a wrong thing morally.
It's definitely like it reminds her of her past, and it's also a part of her not knowing if she actually likes it or not. Along with just like the extended shock of like, wow, what if the Guanyin I know is bullshit? But yeah, with moral conflicts, like morality is definitely something that even in her adulthood, that's something that she's learning as if she were still a child. Like these sort of like, this is good, this is bad, it's a foreign subject because she likes violence. She knows that she likes violence, and she knows that she likes power.
Mm-hmm.
So when all this other stuff comes into play that she's not familiar with, she's like, how am I supposed to feel about it? I don't know, because no one's telling me.
So
really
you've entered a baby to be mayor.
Yes. Yeah.
Nah, I'm kidding.
Talk to me like I'm 5.
Right. Okay. So you've kind of mentioned Guanyin several times with in relation to how Nene was raised and her sense of morals and stuff. But as far as the void version of Guanyin with the other guy, basically, was that like a connection that you had made before you made Nene, or was that one that you kind of just other guy fits really well, so I'm just gonna kind of incorporate him into this?
Yeah.
Aha! I never planned. So it's great that someone's asking that, because now this is the part where I get called out, because the answer is definitely the latter. It was in the battle with Crow. Love you, Crow. And basically, I was like, and you called, and so I went to Heathen first, and I was like, hey Heathen, can I cameo Welcome Wagon? And if I use Welcome Wagon, that means that there's going to be sort of a cult or like religious background behind it. So, and Heathen said, hey, yeah, I mean, sure, but I think it would be better to go to Underwood, because Guanyin is literally, that's Guanyin. And that's sort of what led to everything that it is now. There was no pre-planning at all. A lot of this is just improvising as I go. If he even said like, yeah, you could use Welcome Wagon, then it definitely would have been a different religious angle, probably a different environment too. It probably would have been like maybe like fucking Anglo-Saxon or based in Jerusalem, one of those. But yeah, now we got Guanyin and we got Southeast Asian influences. We're gonna find out what comes next, because I don't plan. I don't plan until I'm in a battle. I need you guys to know. I'm just like, hey, I will battle you.
That's so cool though, like
That's
to be able
really
to
interesting though, yeah.
to integrate it, because it feels like you planned this from the start. Like when I opened it and you see all the hands, I'm like, oh yeah, like that totally fits. Like you did it really well.
The architecture of the hands enveloping the temple, and then all the like fucking hand trees or whatever these are.
Yeah,
It's
God.
creepy but cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys like it.
Yeah.
The first and foremost reason why this entire like AU exists is because I hate drawing cities so much because I
Oh,
don't
mood.
like drawing crowds. And I was
Oh,
like,
God,
I
yeah.
hate it so much. I will submit a character and make sure they're not in Void City.
So how do you
I
think
just want to point out this is exactly why I made my cowboy.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm really curious as to how
Cowboys.
that would like translate in Election Royale. Like I'm just thinking how everyone's gonna be adapted and how the like election like the atmosphere is gonna be like adapted. Because I'm thinking like, are they still like running a city? Like, is Naialah gonna go to a city, or is it just like they're out in the desert, like just like shouting like, yeah, vote for me?
That's good. It's a good point because I think one of the struggles that comes with that came with doing Naialah. If you hear clattering, that's my grandpa cooking in the kitchen.
It's okay.
We're having food, y'all.
No.
So, Naialah was also just the first character where it's like, one of the goals, like besides just like having her in for funsies, was just like I wanted to improve with my backgrounds and I wanted to improve with my writing because one of the general issues with how I do my stuff on Void was just I never really stuck to a character for long. It's always like I usually stopped at around 3 comics and then I submit a new character and I was like, this has to be the one character that I have to like at least try and see a story through before I decide to get impulsive and throw in another character.
Mhm.
And it's been going. It, like as Hella said, it's difficult to do a long form narrative on Void, especially just because of since working on Void is like, you know, you can do comics whenever, whatever, compared to the long form narratives that you see in webcomics where it's like you have to do it on a weekly basis on a specific schedule. It's really easy to possibly ghost your own story and your own characters and then risk losing your audience at the same time.
Yeah. Mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nene was just a big experiment with all of that and just trying to integrate more NPCs into the story, having other characters fit into the setting, while not trying to make it seem like I want to do a webcomic because I don't want to do a webcomic. And it's cool. And one of the funnest parts is beyond doing my own work. It's really great to see more Voiders also do more AU content, like Hella with their cowboy character, or Badger with their also planned sort of Western AU
Yes.
character. Yeah.
There's gonna be so many fun characters.
Yeah,
Make 2021 the year of AUs.
That'd be so great. I love it.
It is gremlin time, my dudes.
Yeah. I think another one of the harder parts about writing Nene too is just like people want to see world building and I want to see it too, and I want to like expand upon like, hey, what happened, why is this like that, and like, you know, what's up with the situation with the metas and the non-metas, why are humans underground, etc.
Yeah.
And it's like it's definitely hard to do it with a character who you have to write who she doesn't fucking talk, dude. She doesn't say shit.
Yeah. How is it working with a character that doesn't really talk much?
It's
I feel your
not
pain.
super hard. It really is frustrating, and you have to make the juggle of like, you know, what should my character say and what should they not say, because what can be too much information and what's like too little information that your audience won't pick up on it, which is why with Nene specifically I have to like do the thing where it's like I have to reference past comics as directly as possible in order to make sure that I'm not losing my audience in the Nene sauce. Really.
I like that
It
kind of
also
makes you
kind of
go
makes
in. Oh,
it-
sorry. Oh my god.
It's all right. I was just gonna say, when you have a character that doesn't say much, it almost makes it so that each time they do speak, it ends up being a lot more impactful. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just dropping
Yeah,
Confucian.
it's definitely
sayings.
like, yeah, I wish she was that fucking smart, but she's not. um, it's definitely fun.
Which one you want?
Hi, Grandpa.
Hi.
Okay, I'm back. Did you guys want some taquitos? Because my grandpa asked me what taquitos I wanted.
Give me
Hell
some
yes.
fucking taquitos.
Yeah. So yes, silent characters. Words matter when they happen. And usually with like silent characters, typically, like especially like when I read silent characters, I like usually my most common critique would be like put a lot more emphasis on the action because that's where it really has to matter. Why do I have to make a reserved character? I have my regrets.
But then you
Hey,
get to
maybe
do a lot
that
of
can be, like,
introspection, which is really cool.
Yeah, introspection, and maybe that can end up being a bit of a growth, and that, Naialah starts to find her voice a little bit more and gets a little bit more vocal about shit. Or maybe not, who knows?
She's like, nah, actually, I'm going to be completely
Naialah
mute.
learns
Bye.
to speak.
Just like, yeah, nah,
I died to shut up.
fuck this.
Honestly, with like in terms of like what I plan to do in the future with Naialah, it's really just up in airs. It depends on how elections go. Because usually I do want to run with my own canon and just integrate bits and pieces of the opponent's canon into her stuff. But this time it's like, well, it's all or nothing, baby.
So
I
if
would definitely.
Oh, sorry.
I'm definitely interested in how you guys. No worries. I'm interested in how you guys like feel about like Nene's rank so far because that's been like, fuck the visuals, man. I'm just like I want to know how the storytelling seems to other people.
It's definitely got a really a deep air of mystery. Like, we know that she wants to get to Void City, but we don't yet know why. And so it's kind of just this, we're on this journey with her as she's figuring out where she's going, and as she kind of also figures out who she is outside of the religion.
I personally like when I read her comics, it makes me do like the big thonk, which I really like. I love reading comics and then like having to think about them or sitting and like just thinking about them later and being like, so what does this
Yeah,
mean?
I'm gonna say, Don, you wanted to know how your storytelling is. I think your storytelling with Nene shines more so than your other stuff. Probably because, and I also found this when I was when I work on James Masters comics, Jamie's comics. AU does give you that freedom to just kind of weave a story, whatever. Don't have to really care about the opponent in the same way because you're not in this shared but not shared, existing but not existing canon. It's all your canon. So I get that it's more liberating, but it's really your like narrative world building. And this actually goes to the visuals too, because the visuals is a big part of it. It's one of the things that I struggle with not being as good as you, is that you do backgrounds and such that tell of like different locations that you just think like, oh man, I want to be in that location now. I want to know what all these crazy post-apocalyptic mystical landscapes are about, as well as the fact that you, as Betty mentioned, is you get this feeling of mystic journey. And I believe haven't even mentioned Void's. I mean, maybe the latest comic you said Void City, but before it was just like they're heading towards Void, but what is Void in this universe we don't know. We only now realize there's cars and that it seems to be post-apocalyptic. Before it was just like weird demon landscape. That's dope. And now it's like is this in the future?
Before
there's a lot of world building in little details that you do that I honestly think that everyone on this site should look at how you do surroundings and how you just let moments breathe, because you're so good at it. And it's basically show not tell in a lot of cases that you do very well. And when you do go on and actually have, also I really love the fact that you are one of the people who actually uses narrator boxes where you just can hear the person's thoughts, because that's one of my favorite things in comics, and something I know that people on Void were against back in the day a lot, because they were, it shouldn't have so many words. But like when Nate thinks, and then whenever she opens her mouth, it's a continuation of her line of thought. It's very natural. Your storytelling and dialogue and stuff flows so well. So yeah, I'm done gushing about how good your storytelling is.
Yeah, basically, big agree with all that. I actually wanted to say also...
Oh, thanks. I'm
Oh, sorry.
Go.
The thing that they said about, like, it's like cool demon landscape. Oh, what? It's post-apocalyptic. Sorry, the meme. Oh my god. Post-apocalyptic. Literally, like, I was thinking that. I remember commenting on the Smelt Battle that, like, the scene with the Guru girls really brought to mind, like, those old, like, Mesopotamian paintings of people just, like, lounging in robes, like, in the open air, like, courtyard, and being like, yeah, we're just, like, chilling with our tits out. And so I was like, I got an impression it was almost, like, older, and then, like, syringes and cars happen, and I'm like, oh, it's in the future. What? And, like, the whole intrigue you introduced with, is he called Eli? He's Eli, right?
Yes.
I'm so...
Eli.
Because I'm like, oh my god, there's, like, 2 now. What if I got it wrong? But, like, with him and the living underground, I'm like, oh, yeah, interesting. Like, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
There's so many, like,
it does make me think, which I love, because I can't talk today. Oh my god. But basically, if I'm still thinking about a comic after I've read it, or if, like, not everything is, like, just on the surface, like, you gotta, like, dig down and, like, think a bit more, like, I love that. Of course, sometimes I'm stupid and, like, can't get, like, the full depth, and I'm just like, what did this mean? But this happened, like, what the... But, like, I like having to think about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the positivity. To definitely just answer some questions without, like, spoiling it hella hard. Yeah, the setting has always been intended to be, like, low-key post-apocalyptic, and definitely in the future of Void. And without going into any detail, the general gist of the setting is just things happened. Humans can't survive on the surface. They usually have to dwell underground because it's a lot safer there, because there's a lot less metas there, and metas thrive on the surface because there's less humans to deal with, and their just natural super abilities just give them the benefit of being able to survive in a very desert-like environment where it's like you don't know if you're gonna go left, you're gonna head into a fucking hand forest, or if you're gonna go right and you're gonna go into whatever the fuck. A lot of the
bushes
environment. Oh, some bushes.
Some goddamn bushes.
The design inspirations for a lot of the environments has always been just like some of my favorite anime such as Tekken Kinkuri has some very gorgeous environment work. It's very ironic because a lot of my favorite environments also there's a game from Supergiant called Pyre that is literally in the same general setting, and it's just a huge inspiration. But a lot of my favorite environments have always been the general themes of like landscapes are like very like if they're cityscapes they're very contained and they're very cramped and it's very unhealthy, and then once you go outside of it, like environments are just desolate. There's something about desolate places that I just love. Maybe it's because they're easy to fucking draw, I guess.
But there's also cool
That is-
energy.
Amen.
Yeah.
Like there's like this sort of energy of being like isolated and wild, I guess.
Oh yeah, like deserts are the go-to environment if you want to just amp up the feeling of isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of writing, I've always wanted to just do writing that was I just love introspective writing. I love
Yes.
learning about other people's characters and what influences them and what changes them and how their actions like I remember in fucking Roleplay Guild I want to shut the fuck up about other people's characters and how their actions are caused by previous shit because I love it. I just love learning about how actions have consequences.
Me
I
too.
guess.
No, but I love that. Like, I love that you like pay attention to everyone and are like, yes, where's this going? Where's that going? Or I have thoughts. Like, that's just like so. Yeah, I mean, that's every artist's dream, isn't it? Like to have people like think about your characters and be interested in where
God,
their character's
yes.
going.
It's crazy. Like it's like a crazy feel good just to like read people's like comics or their writings or their role plays and then just making that connection of the character is acting like this because of this previous thing or they're acting like
Yes.
this because they're worried about this happening. And it's just you're like, yes, I relate or I don't relate, but I understand, and it just feels so good.
Yeah, it really makes them like feel like an actual person, or even if they're not a human, just like, but like an individual with like all the fuck, I can't talk today.
Just a
An
static,
individual with lots of facets and lots of
character.
things and things that are linked and tangled together, and this is causing this, and yeah, basically what you said. Oh god, I'm sorry.
It's
Sorry.
okay.
But yeah, I
Who's
totally-
on their Nintendo DS?
No, that's my dad's phone letting me know it's 7 a.m. twice.
Oh, okay. Is that all the time?
No, it's just
I-
he just sets it to bong at 7 a.m. for some reason. I don't know why, because it's in the kitchen and he's in the
Oh.
bedroom sleeping until 10. So I don't know why he sets it to do that.
Thanks.
It's a mystery.
We still got
Another
time.
one of my writing inspirations. Woo, more time.
Woohoo.
I am a big fan of. I think some of the works that really impacted me the most, as a person was, 20th Century Boy, by forget the author's name. Sorry, XOXO hugs and kisses. And also, Paranoia Agent,
Mhm.
which was directed by the same
Satoshi Kon.
creator who did
His name is Satoshi Kon.
yes, Satoshi
He's
Kon.
also my favorite.
Thank you. Yeah, Satoshi Kon's work is definitely really good on the introspective experience while balancing, making the modern life look as abstract as possible. And it's just love it. Just absorb it into my physical frame.
I've definitely heard of it before, but I've never watched it. So now I'm like, oh, I should go look at that. Go check it out. I'm like noting down all the things you mentioned here, like right to go check out.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. If you're interested in works that are just about just looking into oneself and understanding like, wow, why is this character like fucked over, or why is this all happening? Like Satoshi Kon's work is great for that, and There's a manga that I read recently that ruined my entire fucking life. That's called Monster. It's a thriller, psychological, that is also just about the realms of morality and how it affects one person and how those actions affect other people, etc., etc. It's great. We love it. We love actions with consequences here.
Gotta face the consequences.
Crime
You
and
can't just do
punishment.
shit.
I think I remember you mentioning it in the comics channel, comics A channel and I was like, oh yeah, I'll check it out. It's got like lots of disturbing content in it too, though, right? Like
In Monster, there's a lot of murder death. If you don't like murder death, can't remember anything specifically beyond that. It's definitely, there's an anime too that's out on YouTube because YouTube doesn't give a shit, I guess, if you want to just peek it from there. And heck, I think that's just about like all I have for Nene. I have working on Election, so we're gonna see more of her. She's not the nicest character and she's not the meanest character yet.
She
for that corruption
She
arc.
exists.
She definitely exists. And
Yeah.
to anyone who out there who's wondering, why? So like, I know that some people get confused about her gender a little bit because I call her by she/her pronouns, but she states in comics, "I'm not a man," and in the future she's definitely gonna state, "I'm not a
She
woman."
did also
Yeah,
kind of have that
she did in
where in Yumi and Niles Kyrie towards the end where I think it was Niles or Elijah, either one of them was
said like lady.
Not a lady.
I actually really like that. I was thinking
yeah,
about
yeah.
that and how it's a really good way to like inform the readers about her gender without like it was very natural. Just like, oh, who's the dude? I'm not a man. Oh, lady, not a woman. I'm like, okay, cool. She's not either, but she's a she. Great.
Oh, what's her name? Janet from The Good Place.
Yeah. Not
Oh,
a woman.
really?
Yeah,
The lady.
she's not a woman.
I have. Oh, okay. I haven't seen The Good Place yet,
Should.
so
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's a ride. Like you start off and you're like, okay, this is sort of interesting, and then you get to the end of season 1, and you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then you're like, wow, I gotta binge everything now.
Yeah. So yeah,
Really
anyways, you were
interesting,
saying.
like questions about like morality and life and stuff.
Oh God, yeah.
we love morality in life.
I had an existential crisis at the finale. I was like, oh my god.
What were you saying earlier, Betty?
Yes.
I was you were saying stuff about Nailah's gender. And people
Yes.
asking- yeah.
Nailah's gender is as it reads on her bio. It doesn't exist. That's right. Just like with like 3 of my other I think 4 of my 5. I think there's 5 characters in my entire Void history where it's like they do not have a gender. Do not call them anything. If you breathe in their direction, they will throw up. And that's the gist.
This is what we like to refer non-binary people often refer to as we are gender trash bag. Or similar. I just want to point out that I fucking love Nene. It's probably my favorite characters of yours.
Thank you.
Which is why she has to die in Election.
Yeah, no, please fucking kill her. Like, as stated, with making AU characters, it's like, it's easy. A part of it's easier to write because, like, the world is your oyster.
Literally.
The harder part is that when knowing consciously that others will probably have a harder time writing them. So, hey, if any of you election participants are out there listening to this, if you kill Nene in the first 10 pages, I understand. I would do that myself if I could.
I mean, we know that Heathen's probably gonna, because Nene's meta, so probably gonna die.
Mm.
Well, see you later, bitch.
But yeah. I'm very interested in seeing how both of you go through elections. Like I'm jazzed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't
Do
be.
our best.
Yes, for
Did you just say don't
it is
pee?
100% so dumb.
We'll do
Uh,
our best.
Without spoiling anything, I'm going 50% shitpost, 40% meta, 10% serious.
Hey man, those kind of comics tend to do really good on the site though, so I think you'll be good.
People want memes. They love it.
Yeah.
We do love memes here. And
We do.
I will be doing a comic that's way too serious. So if, people who shit vote me, I understand. Go ahead. In fact, I will Venmo you to shit vote me.
Pay me to shit vote.
Please don't make her mayor, please.
I'm begging you, don't make her mayor. I don't know what comes next after that.
Yeah, like that almost feels like that would be the end of her arc, but it's only 4 comics in.
I know.
If she became mayor, would she just like immediately quit? Like
In this, okay, so here we go. Everybody sit down. I knocked over my marble.
I'm
Here's the 80
looking.
where she was in Void City. If she, like in like the Void City everyone uses, if she became mayor there, yeah, she would want to. She'd want to quit. She has social anxiety. She can't talk to large groups of people. She can't even talk to one person. If they talk too much, it like overstimulates her and she gets aggressive, or she just shuts up. So she would definitely be like, "Wow, me mayor."
I
And then
hate this.
she just runs. She runs for her life.
how is she even like well, if this is a spoiler, like you don't have to answer, but I was like thinking how does she even like stumble into the situation where she would run for mayor in the first place?
It's more like
Squinty eyes.
with how Yumi and now's Kyrie ran. It's more like she definitely being mayor, taking over the city, has never been a single thought in her mind, and it won't be a thought in her mind in this comic either. She's only playing bodyguard to Elijah, who would technically in this context he would want to be mayor.
Oh,
So she's just his backup per se.
oh, interesting. Okay.
Makes sense.
Elijah just goes, "Hey babe, wanna be mayor?" And she's like, "Oh god, I hate you so much."
Just fuck this.
I'm just
Oh
trying
man. Go on.
to. No, it's okay.
You go.
Well, I was just thinking, like, aren't they like married in the future? And I'm just like, how does that like? Is it just like, oh, hey, be my bodyguard? Yeah, sure. Hey, be my wife or spouse? Yeah, sure. Okay. Like,
I'm glad you're gonna ask that. I was actually gonna talk about that. So Eli's origins is literally from the fact that me and a friend from my tabletop group, we were just joking about how would Nene ever fucking find love? Would she ever be happy with having a partner? And we were like, if she's gonna have a partner, it has to be someone who is equally as abhorrent as her, like just a shit person. She's not shit on Void yet, but she'll probably get there eventually.
we're getting there.
And so Eli was created to sort of be very similar to her and also very opposite, where she's pretty neutral on things. She's just violent. She uses her actions and Eli uses his words. And as much as I definitely do want them to become a thing eventually in Void, it's always just plot comes first, love comes later, and even in the characters' minds, it's just like they do not see the other person as attractive. Eli has already specifically stated, "You're not special to me. I could have hired anyone. You're replaceable. I just want your abilities." And Nene, in turn, has also taken Elijah's words of like, "Hey, you got in the car, so it's your fault for what happens next." And she's taking it upon herself to say, "Yeah, I guess it is my fault, huh?" They do not click right now. It'll be slow burn, or I give up.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think I have anything else to add.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool. I was just flicking through our like questions or like points, and like you sort of answered them without us even asking. Like it just kind of oh my god, what? Sorry, just like
Yeah,
naturally flowed on. It was really cool.
That happens a lot. Like Hella did the same thing.
Yeah.
And Flighty did the same thing. And I'm just like, you guys are nailing all of my questions.
I came in with a game plan. I was like, I want to know, I want to talk about these things. I will say, I did rein in, like, when I was thinking of what I was going to say for this, at first there was a lot of salt, but after a while I was like, that's not conductive to a good interview. So I just let that lay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I
Thank you. We
really liked
appreciate.
hearing about the whole, journey that Hara and Huey have been through.
Also, it should be mentioned because apparently I didn't know Naialah was a tabletop character, but Hara was literally the first time I ever played D&D. I made a ranger. He wasn't named Hara yet. He was named like something like Donakan or some weird fantasy name. But he became. But when I moved him to a space setting for a homebrew, like 5-6 years later, no, actually 8 years later, he became Hara. So he's literally been with me since I was 12-13.
We love tabletop
That's
characters.
amazing. I do too. Just I love converting characters into Void. It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's so fucking fun. Man, if I had like more tabletop characters, they would definitely be on Void.
Honestly, slap him in
Akira
there.
is my World of Darkness character from when I was
Yeah,
like,
from Vampire the Masquerade.
yeah. So
Yeah.
tabletop character as well.
Is the recording over? Because I need to tell you about my Vampire the Masquerade character.
Oh my god, wait, should I stop? I don't know, because we didn't like
I can
officially
stop it,
end yet. Yeah.
Oh shit.
So, well, you can talk about it if you want. I mean, it's sort of. I mean, is it related?
No, it's just funny.
That's fair.
Okay, well then we'll wrap
sign
things
off
up
and then-
here.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank
That
you.
has been the second episode of Backstage Pass with special guests Hella and Dawn.
Thank you for
I'm special.
listening.
You're special to us. Yes.